Alright everybody, welcome back to another Arena Football Nation YouTube video. And I appreciate you checking out the video and I hope you are doing well. Alright everybody, so this is the third part in our three-part series where we're just doing a mid-season review of the three leagues. You got the AIF, NAL, and the IFL. And this is obviously the IFL video, where we're just going to take a look back at the way this season has went so far. Any news, stories, issues, stuff like that have happened, and just take a look at the standings and the schedules just to see where we are. And then at the end of the year, we'll have a year in review video for each league where we see just how things went, stats, standings, who won the league, divisions, etc. Just do a little review of it. And then of course, as we go into the off season, going to 25, we'll obviously have more videos covering if there's any updates. So this is just a mid-year, mid-season little video. I know we did a preview of the upcoming season for all the leagues, so we just see what's happening, who's going to play, the geographical map, all that good stuff. We had a preview series, so this is going to be a mid-season series, and this will probably be the shortest video out of all of them because, of course, the IFL is the class act, the top dog in arena and indoor football. No teams have folded like every other league in the country, and everything has been run for the most part extremely well and smoothly. I only had a couple hiccups, but a lot of solid franchises. The IFL is really solid, really great league. So everything's been going overall well for it. But we'll take a look at the standings real quick and any stories real quick, and then we'll end the video. All right, so here you have the standings. We're not perfectly halfway there yet, but 16-game season. Most teams are at 7 games, so we're pretty much midway. And just it was easier to have all three leagues. The other two are pretty much halfway, a little over halfway. The IFL is almost halfway, so it's just easy to just do them all three now. I know it's not perfectly halfway, but whatever. Here you go. So the Eastern Conference, here's the standings. You got Frisco at 6-1. Man, what can you say? Frisco's always, a legitimate top dog in the regular season. They just can't get over that postseason hump. Can they do it this year? They're looking really solid. They're winning a lot of games. 6-1, looking really strong. Great offensive play. Putting up a lot of points against Jacksonville in their recent game against them. They're looking really solid, and there's not much I can say. They always are a great team in the regular season. Can they get over that hump, like I said, in the postseason, finish strong, and win a championship? I mean, that's all I can say. Unless they start losing crazily, there's nothing I can say until we get to the postseason. That's when the questions are really going to get answered when it comes to Frisco. Green Bay Blizzard in second place there with a 5-2 record. That's really impressive. Green Bay is usually a bottom half team when it comes to competitiveness, the standings, etc. They're playing really well this year, and at a 5-2 record, I mean, doing great things. Coach has them doing really good things over there as well. I really enjoy the ownership. They have on their Green Bay Blizzard YouTube channel, they have their own show, Strictly Business. Really enjoy watching that. It gives a lot of good insight when they have a show that just talks about what's going on with their team and the league. So really enjoy that. Green Bay doing really well for themselves. I'm happy for them. You love to see some of the teams who've been having a hard time being competitive in the past at the top of the table. So we'll see how they do finishing the rest of the season. I know they have a ton of away games at the end of the season because they try to get all their home games in early in the season. So we'll see if that affects them anyway. But either way, right there at 5-2 in second place. Third place, with also a 5-2 record. I mean, they're right there together. It's a tie for second, essentially. You got the Pirates at 5-2. Pirates are also one of the best in the league. I really got to tip my hat to Jawad, the ownership, and the coaching and the players. They're really on an island, like truly on an island. Kind of like how Jacksonville is as well. So they do some crazy traveling, and they're always competitive. They always play strong. They're always strong at home. So Pirates there at 5-2 as well. you know, got to give props to their franchise. You know, coming from the NAL to the IFL and instantly making an impact. They're one of the top class in the IFL. Then you kind of get in the middle of the pack there. You got Quad Cities and Tulsa at 3 and 4 each. Tulsa, they had their bright spots and they've had their low spots. So what team are you going to get essentially? They've shown where they can be really strong and competitive, and then but in the day they're 3 and 4. Jacksonville, knocked them off to get their first win. So Tulsa's kind of like flip-floppy right now. Same thing with Quad Cities. They've had some really bright spots, upset some teams, and then they're 3 and 4 though. So they're right there on the edge, trying to competitively fight for that 4th spot. As you know, the top 4 teams from each division, league, whatever, the Eastern and Western, they're the ones that make the playoffs. So they're both in a dogfight right there for that 4th spot. Iowa at 2 and 5. They were looking for their first win there for a minute, and they ended up getting it. Now they got another win. They're 2 and 5. Could they make a drastic turnaround and be competitive and make a push here in the second half of the season? Iowa, another historic franchise. You love to see teams that have long-standing histories still being around, and just right there at the bottom of the table. Only time will tell. Can they make a push here? Jacksonville coming in from the NAL. I don't think they expected to have such a rough start as they have had. They are at 1 and 6. They're in the 7th spot on the standings for the Eastern Conference. Like I said, they got that first win against Tulsa, but ever since then, big loss to Frisco, not looking good, and maybe the second half of their schedule will be nicer to them. Going to face a lot more of their Eastern Conference opponents. They have like I said with Iowa, they have a full chance of making a playoff push as well by winning some of these games, getting really competitive at the right time. So we will have to see. Having a rough start coming into the IFL. Next up, and the last in the Eastern Conference, you got the Sioux Falls Storm, another historic franchise who's usually dominated the IFL historically. They are having a rough season as well, looking at 1 and 6 right there. And in the muck, if you will. I know James likes to have coined that term. So Sioux Falls Storm, they got their first win. They were another team that didn't have a win. So can they make a push here? If nothing else, if you don't make the playoffs, at least end on a high note, so you can build a fan base, turn some heads a little bit, get ready for the next year, and like I said, end on a high note. Be a little happy instead of just having a hard time the rest of the season. Here in the Western Conference, the Vegas Nighthawks. What a story, right? So they are a couple years out of their expansion year, and they are 7 and 0, the only undefeated team left in the IFL. Looking really solid. They are playing in the most competitive conference in all of arena and indoor football against some of the best teams in all of arena and indoor football, and they're undefeated. What more can you say? So looking really great. They obviously the national championship, the IFL championship is going to be held in Vegas. So if they were to keep this up and to stay strong throughout, they'd be hosting, the national championship at their own place. So that's a pretty cool story. If it does happen. Just a little interesting tidbit. But anyways, Vegas looking really dominant. Can they stay perfect? Man, they are 7 and 0 halfway through the season. So really cool to see that. It's a long season though, and they, like I said, they are in the most competitive conference. I mean, they're playing some really tough teams. You got Bay Area, they're really good. San Diego making a big push out of nowhere. All right, they're one of the more lower tier teams. So really happy to see them. Northern Arizona and Arizona Rattlers. They're all great teams as well. And then San Antonio, they're no slouch either. They're putting up a lot of points, really strong offensively. So really going to be a true test to what their mettle is when it comes to the Nighthawks. Right behind them in second place, you have the Bay Area Panthers at 6 and 1. Man, they won the championship last year. They're looking very dominant and strong this year. So can they make a push as well? It looks like they might be one of the teams that can give Vegas a good fight. Who knows? They did have some issues where they had some players who went to the stands to break up in families that were fighting it, I believe. So they were suspended a little. I think it was a couple games. So when they come back, I'm sure they'll be fine. I'm not making excuses why they have a loss, but really when they have their complete package, like most of these teams, they are a strong team, and I fully see them right there, making a playoff push as well. Northern Arizona sneakily in third place with 4-3 record. The next 6 teams, they're right there. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, or next 4 teams, excuse me. The next 4 teams all have pretty close records. So they're right there in the middle. It could go either way here with these next 4. 4-3, like I said, Northern Arizona, they're a strong team. They, I just constantly feel like they're under the radar. Nobody's really talking about them. They're not making a ton of noise, but they're winning some games. Have a couple of tough losses, but there they are at 3rd place in the standings. So shoot, I would not be surprised if they make a push here at the end of the season. San Diego, 4-3. One of my success stories. I like to say, so far in this series I've been doing with these 3 videos, the IF, NAL, now the IFL, you have your success stories. The IF was the Corpus Christi Tritons, and the NAL, it was the Colorado Spartans. I was really impressed by how well they're doing for themselves as a true expansion team. Well, San Diego has been one of the teams in the IFL that they have always been in the bottom tier in the standings, always getting beat up, having a tough time. I'm not going to lie, personally, I was worried they might fold as a team. Fan attendance wasn't looking too good there for a little bit. But they have amazing uniforms. I love the logo, the team name, and everything. And coach out there has them, really bringing it all together. I'm glad they're patient with him and allowed him to develop his system, because they're now 4-3. 4 really solid wins, and the losses have been very close losses to the best teams in their division. So San Diego, that's my success story for the IFL. Really happy for them, and they're right there, in the fight for the playoff push. Arizona at 4-3 had a couple stumbling losses, but it's Arizona Rattlers. They're the class of arena and indoor football, so you can never count them out. I know they had a rough start last season, and they ended up making a push in the playoffs anyways. So you can never count them out. They're going to be every year one of the best teams. Moving to that Desert Diamond Arena. So I don't know if that may have caused any issues. I know a lot of fans were not happy with that move, but if it's what's best for the franchise, you got to go with the flow. And right there, 4-3. They're just on the outside looking in. Right there for that 3rd or 4th playoff spot. Fully expect them also to make a push here late in the season. Then you have San Antonio Gunslingers in the 6th spot, and they are 3-4, and they've also been having a rough start like the Sharks, but they have actually gotten 3 wins, unlike Sharks' 1. And San Antonio has been lights out offensively. They are just like the guns they have on their logo as Gunslingers. They're just all firepower, really strong offense, leading a lot of categories, or right there in a lot of offensive categories. A lot of their games have been just shootouts, high scoring, a lot of fun. I hope their fan base really comes out and supports them, and so that they can really make that home arena an intimidating factor in games. Excuse me. And Tom and Austin, Sam Casanova, they're doing great things over there. You love to see it. I fully could see them, even with their tough division, making a push here, maybe even sneakily getting into the playoffs. Honestly, I could fully see them getting, if some teams stumble, they take advantage of the opportunities that arise, they could sneak into the playoffs. With that offense, it's possible. As if the defense can hold just enough, that'd be the tale of the tape. Or if it's just whoever has the ball lasts and scores, So San Antonio, 3-4, really awesome to see them as a true, expansion team coming into a new league, a new system, new rules. They're doing overall pretty good for themselves. I could see them doing even better. Like I said, we're only at the half point of the season. Then you have the Tucson Sugar Skulls at 7th place with 1-5 record. Billy back over there coaching them. I think he's just having a hard time getting it together. He's had a couple tough losses. Some things didn't go their way, But another team that very easily could turn it around. I don't think the record that they have reflects them as a team or him as a coach. Just unlucky, just unlucky so far. So but they're really competitive. I could see them making a push as well. That's a thing. 1 through 7, I could see 1 through 7. Any of those teams making the playoff, potentially making the playoff. The pieces are there. It's just a really, really tough division. I mean, so many of these teams are all good. The only one that doesn't have a win yet is Duke City in the 8th spot, and even they are going in games and losing by only a touchdown or 2, coming right down to the end of the game, right there in it. The team that's 0-6 at the bottom of the standings is making it hard for teams that are, higher up. It's an extremely competitive division. So that's really awesome. That means parity is going to be high. And not to get too far ahead, like I said, Tucson, I could see them making a push. Love their field and logo. I think it's just awesome. It's one of the reasons why I love indoor and arena football. Some of these mascot names and logos are just so cool. But yeah, Tucson, could totally see them turning around, but I also could see them just folding and just falling apart here at the end of the season. It all depends on what they have going for them going forward. Do they have that fire in them? Are they willing to make the necessary adjustments and do the things that are needed so that they can be competitive? I think the potential's there, obviously. So who knows? The only time will tell, right? And then Duke City, like I already said, they're 0-6, the only team that hasn't won a game yet in the IFL, but they are so competitive. They're doing really well for themselves. They just got a quarterback from the AFL who left, I believe, one of the teams that folded. I'm blanking out on his name right now, but either way, that quarterback is doing really well for them. Really, happy for Duke City to get a solid quarterback. I know they needed one, and I think it's just a matter of time. I fully expect them to get a win. There's no way they go winless because they're doing so well. They're staying in games. They haven't given up yet. You can tell they're still fighting them. And I know their schedule's tough, second half, and their division's really rough. But if they stick with it, I think they can rally off 2, maybe 3 wins, give or take, and build something, have some type of confidence going into the next season, and return stronger than ever. Hopefully they don't take this too rough. Hopefully the fans come out and support them. And I know when I watch their streams, they do have some very passionate fans there. They got their rally guy who's like always right there next to the goalpost screaming when the away team's kicker is kicking. It's really awesome. I like the Gladiators, and I think they have some of the best uniforms and helmets in the league. Really unique, designs, and then the sword that goes through the middle of the helmet, that's their stripe on the helmet. I think it's just so unique and cool. So I really like Duke City. Really unique and awesome franchise. And they just have that small underdog mentality all the time. I remember when they were making a playoff push, either in their first or second year in the league, and I was rooting for them so bad to, really come through there and win. And unfortunately, they did not. But yeah, that is the standings at the halfway point. No real issues. The IFL is the class of the country when it comes to arena and indoor football. Indoor football, obviously, IFL. Yeah, no teams are going to fold. I would hope not. Knock on wood. But I would hope not. But they've been really stable franchises. The league has been really stable. They've been really smart with expansion and who they allow in the league. Their business model is the reason why they're so stable and able to be as successful as they are as a league. So, the one league out of all of them that hasn't had a team fold yet, or like I said, knock on wood, hopefully none do. And yeah, really strong teams, really strong franchises, really strong league. That's why those Sharks and the Gunslingers went to that league. They wanted to be in a bigger, better situation, more stable situation, and it shows why. The only thing that issue-wise you really have had is the streaming. You had streaming issues at the beginning of the season. That was really weird and random. It was a ton of teams were having issues streaming their games. Plug in the nightmare, the nightmare I want to give you, the Pirates spinning head. We'll be right back. Oh, that was horrible. But anyways, overall, really solid year so far. We're at the halfway point, and I think it's going to be really exciting, this playoff push, especially that Western Division. Any of those top 7 teams could easily, be making a playoff push. So really exciting, awesome season. And then the only other issue, and you could say, is you had family members that were fighting or whatever it was in the Panthers and Strikeforce game, and you had some Panther players go in the stands to break it up. Not a big deal at all. At the end of the day, they were just trying to diffuse the situation, help solve the issues with their families and members and all that. But the league had to suspend them and fine them, because at the end of the day, that is the rules for the league. Which is, I can see both sides of the story, but it is what it is. It's rules. So hopefully those players, are able to come back, stronger than ever, fire under them, they're able to compete really strongly, and hard feelings. Obviously, it's the league rule, but that is one of the situation. Other than that, it's been great games. It's been low scoring, unfortunately, but I think that might change here in the second half of the season. It has been kind of boring. Some of the games have been boring and low scoring, but I think as it gets closer to playoffs, teams are going to have to take some chances, be not as conservative in their play calling and their defensive schemes, and it's going to be an exciting finish, going into the playoffs. And then the playoffs are going to be amazing as always. Always a lot of fun. All right, everybody. I always say I try not to do a long video, but I end up rambling so long. So if you made it this far, I really, truly appreciate you checking out the content. If this is something that you enjoy, I would really appreciate the like. It helps the channel and the videos out tremendously. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel to follow along for more. We cover AIF, NAL, IFL. I'm going to start covering AFL as well. So we are covering arena and football. And yeah, like I said, always never a dull moment. It's always, something going on. So it's always a lot of fun. It's why I do this channel. It's why I make these videos. So, all right, everybody, that will do. I'm going to go ahead and end the video. We're at the over the 20-minute mark. And yeah, like I said, IFL running really clean. Really excited for the future. All right, everybody, I'll see you in the next video.